Microphone was off to a great start. Hello, everybody. It's Kitty Cat Peterson and I. Say hello. That was very nonchalant of you. So, our special little guy is back. This guy, a messenger of truth. What did I call him in the title? A propagandist of lies or something like that. I was looking through the comments while you guys weren't here. Some funny stuff. I like the argument, but what would you say to the argument of the fossil record of Neanderthals? He just says Neanderthals were humans. They were a different species of human. So there you go. Human evolution is a thing. Their bone structures resemble humans, not apes. Humans are apes. So I don't know what you're trying to argue. What you're trying to argue there. There was there's a comment. Yeah, right here. This guy said, made by Jim Bob, reviewed Planet Peterson's response to your video. You should reach out to Jim Bob. So I saw that, and I had to add my little, my 2 cents. This video came out, 5 days ago. And so I didn't know if the video I put up of him, it's my third most viewed video of all time. It has over 100,000 views. So I don't know if he saw my video or not, and I thought maybe I would make an appearance in here. I just kind of scrolled through it. I don't think I do make an appearance in here. So, but I want to know what he has to say, because I don't know. From the scrolling, it looks like he spends like almost the entire video just on this one comment not the whole video, but like a third of the video on this one comment. Chat, what's up? No, not him. Yeah, it's unfortunately it's him. Okay, well, let's get started.
I made a video 9 days ago debunking evolution twice.
No, you didn't.
In 9 minutes. If you just want 2 perfectly sound arguments against the theory of evolution.
Hold on a second. Why is this so... It's framed incorrectly.
Then watch that video. It, by definition, is an unscientific theory. It's not testable and unobservable. Now, I was informed...
Fucking moron. I'm not going to repeat what I said in my own video. So, I've done this before.
That some Darwinists responded to my video, and I was expecting some actual engagement, but all I got was a bunch of insults, some of which were based on my physical appearance. So obviously, if you have to resort to insulting someone, you can't actually refute their argument.
Says the guy that says everybody who disagrees with me is, what is it? Not lost in their sin, but they reject the truth in their unrighteousness. You can't. Even if I did call you a curly-headed fuck in my video, but that's just a Step Brothers quote. So maybe it was uncalled for, but whatever. But to say that that's worse than what you believe is there is a cosmic battle, if you will, of good and evil, not right and wrong, good and evil, and you call us evil, and I don't know. I don't think this guy's deal is if you believe in evolution, you go to hell. I don't think this guy's deal is if you're a Christian and you believe in evolution, you go to hell. Maybe. That would be pretty wild. But none of the insults that we're going to have to say are going to be worse than your than what you say to us. The completely unsanctimonious just casual. It's not even an insult. Like what he does. Oh my God, I accidentally just subscribed. No, unsubscribe to the channel. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there. But the other thing, I wonder, did he delete it? He must have deleted it. One of the other funny things about this is early on, the top comment on the video was evolution is gay. So I was like, yeah, we're sitting here saying that, you guys are just resulting to insults. But meanwhile, there you go. I don't know if he deletes comments or not, but that one's no longer here. Anyways, let me stop rambling.
But for this video, I'm going to be responding to this comment, which was way more respectful than the videos that I watched. Before I do that, though, you guys have to be aware of the two most common logical fallacies that evolutionists make. The first one is going to be the equivocation fallacy. The equivocation fallacy occurs when a key term or phrase in an argument is used in an ambiguous way with one meaning in one portion of the argument and another meaning in another portion. This ambiguity can lead to a conclusion that is misleading or unsound. Here's an example of an equivocation fallacy. A bat is a mammal, therefore baseball players use mammals to hit baseball. Equivocating on the word bat, which can mean both a flying mammal and a piece of sports equipment. Now, the way that evolutionists use this is that they'll point to an example in nature that we can observe using real science, testable and repeatable in the present, and then they'll say, hey, see, look at the bacteria in the petri dish, right? It changes. Or just take the fact that there's hundreds of...
Well, that is like literally by definition evolution. But, you know, even these, like even people like this guy, they believe in evolution. They even believe in the kind of evolution we believe in, just maximally turbo-drived, because they believe only a few thousand species on an ark became hundreds of thousands, if not millions of species today. But they think, well, there's a certain point where it can't, like he has a comment on here where it says, somebody said micro mutations over time become macro mutations. Yeah. Dogs produce dogs. They never turn into a whales or fish or anything. But, you know, apparently, I don't know what a good, I mean, rodents, there are more rodents. That's the most numerous mammal species, you know, for example. I don't know how many exactly there are, but it's definitely many thousand. But, you know, apparently only a few dozen, maybe, rodents can turn into all the different rodents that look very, very different from each other. But, you know, the other things, and that can happen in thousands of years, but over hundreds of millions of years, more dramatic changes, but changes that occur at a much slower rate. So the rate of change is much slower. That's impossible. Why? Because I just say that it is.
Dog breeds out there today. See, all these dog breeds came about over time. Some of these dog breeds didn't exist in the past. Therefore, evolution is true. That is an equivocation fallacy. We are not talking about...
It's not, because that is evolution.
One parent and another parent passing their genes down to the next generation, and there's slight variation within one kind.
That is evolution, though.
Mother with a big nose and a father with a small nose producing a child that has a medium-sized nose is evolution in the micro sense, okay? That's something that is clearly observed. Nobody would disagree with that. As Christians, we need to be aware of this, because when they point to examples of change in the present that we can actually observe, they're...
So I want to know what specifically is a macro change, because there's just simply no way that whatever they believe about the ark did not lead to macro mutation.
Using that as a basis to say that Genesis is wrong. God didn't create humans on the sixth day. Our ancestors are actually fish. Fish eventually turned into humans. Obviously, that's not observed. That's a different type of evolution. That's Darwinism, macroevolution, whatever you want to call it. But clearly,
well, it is supported by the evidence in the fossil record and
evolution
genetics.
In that micro sense does not prove evolution in the macro sense, okay? Now, the second most common logical fallacy that evolutionists make is going to be the fallacy.
Where was the equivocate? So he was just saying just because small changes happen doesn't mean dramatic changes over a long. So you have here what's known as an equivocation fallacy, because we believe in small changes. What you argued there is not an argument against small changes. For some reason, he just doesn't understand that macro mutations are lots of small mutations over, well, sorry, that came out wrong. There really are no macro mutations. It's just the accumulated effect of small mutations over time. And he, like we just looked at this in the comment, this was told to him, but he said, no, that can't happen. But this is not at all an equivocation fallacy, because the micromutations that you say do happen to, now he never mentioned the ark, but species that leave the ark or with dog breeds or whatever, are exactly the kinds of micromutations that we say happen. It's just that more of them happen over a longer period of time. So what I would want to, I don't know what you do with a person like this, but you just ask them, what would happen if micromutate, I have done this before actually in debates. I should write this down because this is actually a pretty good one. I haven't done this in a long time. What would happen if micromutations, which you believe in, occurred for hundreds of millions of years? What would happen? Would everything stay exactly like it is, or would the changes only be like so subtle that, you know, if we took all the species alive today, hundreds of millions of years from now, are we going to have all the same things unless some of them go extinct? Will nothing new pop up? I want to try to remember that. That'll be the next question that I like to use for evolution deniers. What do you think life on this planet will look like in hundreds of millions of years, and why? Remember that one. That's a good one.
Fallacy of affirming the consequent. The beauty of understanding these logical fallacies is that
So he's doing the flat earth thing again. They love affirming the consequent because they don't understand that science is inductive and not deductive. Also, affirming just for the record, I haven't made a fallacy video in a long time. I'm really sorry, everybody. But for the record, logical fallacies don't mean that what you're saying is wrong. Logical fallacies they're nice for deductive arguments because deductive arguments, their conclusion is guaranteed. But if you can prove that one of the premises or the way it's being formulated is fallacious, then it's not guaranteed. But it's absolutely possible and permissible, whatever you're arguing for. Fallacies are not this. It's not the same thing as a contradiction or anything like that.
You don't have to be well studied on the latest scientific literature of evolution to be able to debunk evolution. A lot of there are
No way. Okay, let me back that up. What did he say? Did he say you don't need to know a lot in order to debunk it, or did I mishear him?
of understanding these logical fallacies is that you don't have to be well studied on the latest scientific literature of evolution to be able to debunk evolution. A lot of their arguments can be refuted.
Jeez, he actually did, huh? So he's literally flaunting, and in a way, he's advocating for remaining ignorant because you don't need to know what you're arguing against. This is what Jim Bob did when I debated him. I asked him what the evidence would look like, and he says he doesn't know. If you don't know what the difference between the data that would prove it's right versus prove it wrong is, then you don't get to talk about it. You don't, or at least I don't care what your opinion on it is. That's ridiculous. And he's unironically doing this because he's going to be saying, I can logical fallacy my way into demonstrating that evolution is false. Oh, man.
Refuted by simple logical thinking. Okay, so let me explain this fallacy and how evolutionists commonly do this. The structure of affirming the consequent is a syllogism, two premises and a conclusion. If X, then Y, therefore X. An evolutionist might make this fallacy by saying, if evolution were true, then we should see variation within kinds. We see variation within kinds, therefore evolution is true. Essentially,
so that is, yes, in the spirit of science, science kind of always affirms the consequent because what it does is it sets out with a claim, the hypothesis, and then it predicts what the evidence would be. The evidence always comes second. When you find the evidence, that is evidence in support of your claim. This is induction, making sort of generalized claims from specific pieces of evidence, assuming I have that right at least.
Actually, this is wrong because there could be a million different reasons why there is variation within kind. Another example of this would be, if I live in North...
Yes, but there's only one explanation that actually predicts and accounts for the evidence in any kind of reliable or sensible way.
Dakota, then I live in the United States. I live in the United States, therefore I live in North Dakota. No, if someone lives...
L, because he didn't say South Dakota.
In the United States, it doesn't have to be North Dakota. If there's a bunch of variation within a kind or a whole bunch of other type of evolutionary arguments, it doesn't have to mean evolution. The best that they can do is that we see all this stuff, therefore it's likely that evolution is true.
So I have said this so many times, but we'll just do it again here. The important part about this, I'm not going to use his argument because it's not a very good one, but what I almost always say is if evolution were true, then we should see genetic similarities between organisms. All organisms on the planet would be related. And you could add to that the degree to which they're related should match. It should correlate with the nested hierarchical structure of the taxonomy or phylogenetics or whatever we want to call it, which it does. Now, in a sense, that does affirm the consequent or whatever. But the crucial thing is that how do I say it? The hypothesis sets up the way in which you would prove that the idea is false. Because if there was statistically zero correlation, or if there was like literally if we shared literally zero genes with any form of life on this planet and no form of life shared any kind of gene whatsoever, if all life on the planet, like there was absolutely no need for all life on the planet to even have DNA. Like literally genetics could be accomplished with different molecules for every form of life. If life exists somewhere else in this universe, it's almost certainly not going to be controlled and passed down with deoxyribonucleic acid, right? That would have disproven evolution, but it didn't. So evolution gets a pass there, but also that evidence was predicted by it. So it's supporting evidence.
And that's not a deductive argument. So yeah, if you see someone making this type of argument, notice it, point it out, and show them why they're wrong. Now, let's respond.
No, it's not wrong. I don't know what he means by wrong, because he didn't say that isn't evidence. I guess he did say that it's not exclusive evidence, but no, I mean, to say it's wrong is wrong. He's doing fallacies again.
On to this comment. You fundamentally do not understand natural selection, okay? There is no entity making a decision in natural selection. I never said that there was, but the fact is there is. God is sovereign over all things. He is the one making choices. He is the one deciding. You're
literally just not... If you... The circularity in your argument here... See, I did say that this guy was very much not bright, and he just really is. He's not a serious person. He's not a serious thinker. He might be doing rage bait for all I know. I'm not really sure. But the fact that you can't see the circularity and the dishonesty with what you just did there, what she's doing is presenting her case. What you're doing is you're saying, well, your case is wrong, not on its own merits, but because I claim that you're wrong and my worldview is right. Now, here, let me tell you about my worldview. You can't... That's completely circular. You're wrong and I'm right because what you said is wrong. Here's what I believe in, which is the truth.
Deciding which dog produces another dog and what kinds of genes will be passed down. Yeah.
Like, if you're going to dissect somebody's belief or whatever, then find the contradictions within it. Find the inconsistencies within it. All you did was say, you're wrong because I have an alternative worldview and I'm right.
God is choosing. What I wanted to point out, though, is that if an atheist believes in natural selection, they really don't like it when we point this out, but they are personifying nature as if nature is their God. Naturalism. Nature does this. Nature does that. Nature chooses.
So here's the condescension. I don't believe in God. I don't make nature my God or anything like that. But he's just sitting here accusing us of doing that. And this is something you see a lot. Now, you maybe would have to do what I do, which is debate with silly people on the internet, which I don't recommend to anybody, to be honest. But what they do is they're incapable. I think this points to not quite a towering intellect or above average intellect. What they do is they're incapable of abstractly thinking about somebody else's worldview. All they can do is be entrenched in whatever theirs is. Now we saw him do this just a little bit ago, but he's sitting here saying, like, his take on the world and nature, whatever, is that there is this grand designer and that there is purpose and teleology behind everything, and he believes in God. So whenever somebody thinks differently than him, he's not capable of looking at them or like describing or understanding their beliefs on their terms. It's only in his terms. Oh, you worship blah, blah, blah. You make this thing your God. No, I don't believe in God. Yeah, you do. I believe in God. Everybody believes in God. You just believe in a different God. It's so incredibly stupid. And I think creationists also, you see them having this problem when talking about evolution, because they constantly, in the live stream we did the other day with the guy, he had a degree from Oxford or something like that, and he gave the 7 reasons why evolution is unscientific or whatever. They always talk about evolution in these very stupid Pokemon-like ways, because we've never seen a species pop up in front of our eyes. Yeah, well, we don't believe that all the species on this earth came about in a period of only a few thousand years, or only the ones that survived on the ark. We believe in a very long stretch of time, but they always apply their worldview to our worldview and say, see, your worldview doesn't work. No, you're just so missing the plot so incredibly badly.
Mother Nature. Hence, Darwinism is.
Night and Magic, Planet Peterson. I don't know if you have seen it, but I went to Amazon to buy your book, Rational Answers to Stupid Question. The author photo is wrong, as well as the About the Author section. I have noticed that. I haven't done anything about it yet. The hilarious irony about that is that guy's a Christian author. I'm pretty sure the Eric Peterson on Amazon. So, yeah. By the way, don't buy my book on Amazon. I make like almost no commission if you do that. But if that's the only way you can get it shipped to where you are, then you have to do what's right for you.
It's a religion just like any other. They have something that they believe, not based on any evidence, not based on any scientific in the present observation. They presuppose evolution and go out to defend evolution despite any evidence and despite the fact that it's an untestable, unprovable theory.
No, not despite the evidence. Nobody sat around. He did kind of make this claim. Was that him? Was he the one that said evolution came about by people trying to reject, or evolution was popularized by people that want to downplay the creator or something like that? But no, I mean, this sort of conspiratorial thinking, I guess we'd have to call it, where you say, like, people accuse scientists and this people that believe in the Big Bang and evolution and whatever else. It's like they think what happened was a long time ago, some guy just sat there and was like, I really hate God. Let's come up with some ideas. No, they were open to the evidence. They interpreted the evidence in an objective manner, the exact same way you interpret all scientific data on everything that doesn't clash with your precious book, and so that you accept.
That is to say, it's not a proper theory at all. I know nature isn't making choices according to you. I suspect you won't read this, and if you do, you will probably approach it with a completely closed mind. More presuppositions, presupposing that the people who don't believe evolution just can't reason at all. They're just too stupid, too dumb, too closed-minded, rather than actually dealing with what we're saying. Okay, let's do a simple thought.
What? The irony. They're too stupid and closed-minded to deal with what we're saying. Meanwhile, we just went over how he's seemingly incapable of understanding that other people have a different worldview and how that worldview works. I can understand, in fact, I think I do very well understand what the creationist perspective on life is, which is how when I debated Kent Hovind for the first time, all I did was formulate questions about the creation model, and he agreed with absolutely everything. And then I demonstrated the vicious contradiction, and he just said, well, I don't know, maybe God did it whatever way that has to work for God. My name's Kent Hovind. So, but they can't do that for our side, which is always why it's so funny when you ask them if evolution was true, what would the evidence be? They either say something stupid, like Pokemon, or they say they don't know, or they just have to say, well, it can't happen because it's not true, because they can't deal with the evidence because they know that we have it.
Experiment to help here. If you threw 10 polar bears and 10 camels into the middle of a desert, which group is more likely to survive and reproduce over multiple generations? Well, the polar bears, of course. Camels, I don't think camels can beat the polar bears. If the polar bears are hungry, they're going to kill all the camels, right? Obviously, the camels. Really? Is it really that obvious? So here's the problem.
Wait, what? He's 10 camels in the middle of a desert. Which group is more likely to survive? He said the polar bears. What the fuck? That's like saying, oh, jeez. That's like saying, what would do better in the rainforest, a tree or a cactus? Well, the cactus, because it's got spines, and so nothing will be able to eat the cactus. No, cactuses aren't, they didn't evolve to live in rainforests. So, were you saying that polar bears would do better in the desert? Oh, that's just so incredible. A white animal with huge amounts of fat and insulation and hollow fur for added insulation. That isn't really a particular... I don't know how fast polar bears are, but they don't do a lot of hunting on land, you know? So, oh, this guy.
This is precisely the point that I made in my debunking evolution video, is that there's no way to tell whether or not the polar bear is going to survive or the camels are going to survive in the desert without looking at who's going to survive. Survival of the fittest is just survival of the survivors. There is nothing to test. There is nothing to predict.
Well, you could predict that polar bears won't survive in the desert and then throw them in the desert and see what happens. You can, I mean, we've done, this is just so, he's accusing it of being circular in this way. And it's a very strange argument, but no, we could, we've put animals in other, environments before, and we've seen them diversify in different ways, you know, on those places. So you could argue that, like, we weren't able to predict what happened before it happened. But a huge part of that is because you have no idea what kind of niche is going to be exploited and opened up, because environments are just so incredibly complex. And the variation among organisms is very random. So you don't know which particular phenotypes that get driven toward which particular niche are going to come about beforehand, because as this person pretty wisely pointed out at the beginning, there's nothing guiding the process. It's not teleological like that. So good on, I think it's a girl. I mean, the picture's a girl. Good on her for pointing that out, I guess.
It's just the survivors are going to survive. That's evolution for you. Wow. Yeah. There's no decision process involved. Yes, there is. It's where we get the term survival of the fittest, which means that the species that is most fit for a specific environment is more likely to survive it and continue on. That's exactly the theory that I was refuting in the video. It is quite literally impossible to know which species is most...
Wait, does he do the rest of it? Oh, yeah, okay.
...fit to survive in the environment outside of just looking at which species.
No, I mean, like, literally, I can know that a tropical plant... I have an orchid right here. I know that if I go drive to Death Valley and I plant this in the soil, it's going to die 10 times out of 9. So, I mean, there are things that we can know. There are also things that we don't know, I suppose.
Species survives. Survival of the fittest is just survival of the survivors. It's like, no duh. It would be like me saying the best basketball...
Yes, because they were the best fit to survive. I mean, if God is omnibenevolent, then why can't a desert plant live in the rainforest or vice versa? Why? You can argue that God doesn't care about plants, I guess, but why would, I don't know, an animal or whatever not be able to survive? If there's an omnibenevolent God that intelligently, even if it's not omnibenevolent, if it intelligently created life to thrive on this planet, if we live in a Goldilocks zone and all that, then why does life cling to such preciously small parts of our planet? And why can't any form of life flourish in any kind of environment? Sounds like it's actually nature that decides what lives and what dies in the environment, and it's not guided by God.
Basketball team is going to win the championship. Well, how are we going to know who's the best basketball team? By the team that wins the championship, okay? It's like, yeah, we all know that, okay? That's how we find out what the best basketball team is. It's not worshiping nature as God, because no one is saying that nature is a conscious being making choices of who lives and who dies. Yeah.
That's a good way of putting that.
I know. I guess I wasn't clear in that previous video, but the problem is that atheists personify nature as if it is this conscious thing that produced life. Now,
don't we do that like literally all the time, even when we're not, according to you, undermining your beliefs? Don't we call it Mother Nature, or Father Time? Or don't we say, like, we say that, what's that phrase? Blank can be a cruel mistress or whatever. Like we talk about things that are either abstract or not real or just part of nature or that aren't us in these anthropomorphic terms. It's just something that comes natural to us because we're people, kind of like imagining that there's a conscious being out there that we can't see but is guiding everything, because that's what we're like. So why wouldn't God be just like us?
If you're wondering if the Bible teaches on evolution at all, I am confident to say yes. A lot of people get angry whenever I talk about evolution on the channel, of course. After all, this is your big theory. This is what you have to be true for the justification of your sin in your own mind.
Now, literally, Christians believe in evolution. Somebody asked him about inspiring philosophy because he believes in evolution. What are your thoughts on inspiring philosophy, believing in theistic evolution? He's wrong. He's also wrong when he argues for deism, among other things. I don't know what that's supposed to really mean. And he didn't say anything else about it. So is inspiring philosophy lost in his sinful ways? Does he reject God? I don't know. He didn't really give us an answer there.
Because if this is true, then I can go on thinking that whites are superior, blacks are inferior. I can go on without any care in the world, insulting people based on their appearances, right? Obviously, not all evolutionists think that way. At the end of the day, we know for a fact that even though the people around the world, even though they knew God, they did not glorify him as God or give thanks, but they became futile in their thoughts and their foolish heart was darkened.
Oh, we know this, huh? Just because some obscure poetry was written, we know this. I finally found a book, guys. So, a book. This book is true. There. That proves it. Maybe oh, geez. Oh, no, my camera won't. There we go. Now we're back. This book uses circular reasoning. The purpose of this book is to point out that circular reasoning can be used to prove anything. The person that this book will be read to will not understand that is the point. But that's okay. That person is hopeless. The author can only hope smarter people will get the point. Chapter 1. Why this book is true. According to this true book, you are wrong and I am right. All of the claims of this book are true because the book claims to be true. It is inerrant. Nobody knows who wrote this book or when. The person who inspired these words died centuries ago and spoke a language nobody who wrote this book can speak. But their words have been preserved perfectly, 'cause trust me, bro. Although none of the claims that are significant to the meaning of this book have ever or will ever be corroborated by any source, this book is considered the apotheosis of historical literature. We also know for a fact that this book has been altered, but it is still inerrant, and we know it is inerrant because we assume that it is, and it claims to be. If you found evidence that demonstrated that this book was not true, then the evidence would be wrong. Or maybe Satan put the evidence there. To the degree that this book contradicts itself, that can be explained away by making excuses. So there. The end. And then it goes on how it was written by Spanky. But there you go. A book. This book is true. There. That proves it. Are we unironically doing that right now?
Professing to be wise. Yes, every evolutionist that you'll talk to, they're going to sound so wise in their own.
Those scientists, I guarantee, are just objectively, measurably smarter than you in every way. The only retort you can have to that is, actually, this actually happened to me once. Some guy, some Christian, I don't know, I was talking to him on TikTok. This is a long time ago, but he, I don't know, he made some comment like, he was just calling me an idiot, basically. And I said, hey, I took a Wonderlic test online once and I got a 43 out of 50. I'll send you the link. You can take it right now. If you beat me, I'll delete my channel. And he said, well, there's earthly wisdom and then there's spiritual wisdom. And I was like, oh, sounds like you're running away. So anyways.
Own eyes, of course. They're going to be trying to use all these big terms, trying to confuse you, of course. Oh, you just need to go back to school. We are the wise ones. We have thought these things through. I've looked at the fossil record. I've thought about the radiometric dating. Oh, you don't even know what radiometric dating is, do you? Professing.
No, you don't. Like, he's literally admitting that he's ignorant and saying it doesn't matter because I have a book and this book is true. There, that proves it.
To be
I didn't watch this at a time. He's unironically doing what I said. Oh, no, he's not going to unironically do that, is he?
wise, they became fools and exchanged the glory of the incorruptible God for an image in the likeness of corruptible man and of birds and four-footed animals and crawling creatures. Instead of giving glory to God, giving thanks to God for creating the heavens and the earth in 6 days, as he told us, as he revealed to us, you want to come up with this theory to say that actually the fish, we have come from fish, from four-footed animals. We give glory to these things.
No, we don't give glory to them. We just recognize and understand the plainly obvious evidence right in front of us.
Here because...
And the only reason you reject this particular science, which does not have any unique problems as opposed to any other branch of science, although this idiot would reject, cosmology as a whole for the most part, at least the Big Bang, I guess. He probably doesn't doubt that other galaxies exist. I don't know. Although he does say exactly the same stuff that flat earthers say, so there's that too. Where was I going with that? What did he say? I don't remember. What did he say?
From fish, from four-footed animals, we give glory to these things. We're here because of nature. Instead of giving glory to the one who created nature.
I don't remember. Where. Oh, yeah, right. So you accept any kind of science that doesn't disagree with your book, and then you reject all of the sciences that disagree, at least with your interpretation of your book, because you just begin with the book is true. You don't you can't dissect the scientific literature on any of those other scientific ideas either, but you have no problem accepting them because you know that science is good at that kind of thing, and you know that humans are good at doing that kind of thing. So it's just really pathetic, the vicious circularity here.
They seek the source of nature's beauty in nature itself, but we know better than this. And so at the end of the day, though, the best argument against evolution is not going to be whatever I showed you in this video regarding those logical fallacies. Those are helpful. As Christians, we need to be able to think logically and see whenever other people are thinking.
You don't think logically, dude. You've gone in a circle this whole time. You've failed to have the mental capacity to even step into somebody else's shoes and understand unique perspectives. A unique perspective that's not hard to understand, but you can't do that either.
Illogically, the best thing we can do as Christians when it comes to all these side issues, evolution
is just point to the Bible. That's my prediction.
At the end of the day is a side issue. You can destroy evolution with perfectly good arguments and convince an atheist that evolution is not true. But there would be no point in that if A, he doesn't repent and believe the gospel, so the gospel should always be front and center, right? But secondly, the only reason why evolution even comes up is because people presuppose that they can reason on their own. They can come up with these theories apart from God's special revelation in Scripture.
What a fucking idiot. My God. So, yeah, where did God specially reveal that matter is composed of atoms? Where did God specially reveal that space-time is warped by massive objects? Or anything like that? Nowhere? Okay. So then what is this? Well, the only reason you even can form thoughts is because God exists. This is just a tag argument all of a sudden. Well, I don't know if it's a tag argument, but it's something similar to that.
Evolution is disproven to their satisfaction, then they're just going to come up with another theory and another false theory and another one. It's just going to go on forever unless they repent from their sinful way of thinking, which is starting.
Are there 5,500 different scientific theories, or are there 5,500 different denominations of Christianity? Because the lost irony on this kid, it's so unbearable. So apparently having divinely revealed scripture is absolutely no means, it literally can't give you any objective truth claims, because the people that point to the same book can't agree about what the text means or what the implications for what it means are. And so you guys have schismed thousands of times. Whereas, I mean, in evolution, I mean, in all branches of science, there are vigorous disagreements, but we kind of understand the methods to get to what the truth is, and bad ideas eventually die out over time.
With themselves, examining the evidence in whatever way that they like to. And so they feel like they can come up with all sorts of theories. What we should be doing is pointing out that evidence within your worldview, that your brain is just a bag of chemicals, that you examining the evidence doesn't have any meaning whatsoever. How do you know you were examining the evidence?
In our worldview, Satan doesn't exist. So the truth can reveal, this is a very lazy and stupid argument, but it's the kind of lazy and stupid argument that is given by people that say God reveals the truth. I simply declare that the truth reveals itself to me. I presuppose that I am part of nature and that my senses give me a reliable, consistent experience with nature, and the truth reveals itself to me. There you go. If you're going to argue differently, you're going to have to borrow from my worldview, because you're going to have to make truth claims. But I presuppose the ultimate authority on truth claims, which is that the truth reveals itself. But in your worldview, this is where it actually stops being stupid and actually starts being a pretty decent argument. In our worldview, there's no such thing as Satan that's sitting there and manipulating you and being like, I can make you believe anything that's false. That doesn't exist in our worldview. And, like, of course, any one person can be wrong about anything, but we have co-referential experiences. We have multiple minds working together, and we have methods for parsing out and describing reality in front of us, methods that you agree with for everything except for the science that disagrees with your silly book. But anyways, if Satan exists, we can't do fuck all about that. It's absolutely hopeless that we could ever possibly know that we are not being manipulated by Satan. So if Satan exists, you have no clue. You cannot know that you are not being manipulated by Satan. What they do is they say that's happening to us. And then you ask them, how do you know it's not happening to you? And they just presuppose that it's not happening. Well, okay, but you literally can't do fuck all about it, because Satan's powerless. What they typically say is God's more powerful than Satan. Doesn't matter. Satan could still trick you into thinking that what you're doing is the right thing, like what he, according to you guys, did with Adam and Eve.
Correctly, if your chemicals are just fizzing in a certain way. And
I proclaim that the God-destroying penguin exists. Leafly, yes. I love the God-defeating penguin argument. It necessarily must exist.
This guy's chemicals over here that doesn't believe in evolution, his chemicals are just reacting differently. So basically, the atheistic evolutionary worldview cannot account for knowledge itself. I mentioned inductive arguments earlier, which presuppose the idea that the future will be like the past, and within the atheistic worldview, that is a baseless assumption. If you're confused,
No, it's not a baseless assumption. I mean, when David Hume made that argument in the 1700s, it literally was... Oh, sorry, my alarm went off. When David Hume made that argument in the 1700s, he said, we don't know tomorrow that the sun will rise. Well, that argument's already been refuted. And so now what? Is this just the longest ongoing goalpost shift of all time? The problem of induction? That's not a very serious thought. That's just a passing thought. But what was I going to say? No, if God, nature being consistent and reliable, we have literally the entire course of history to back that up. Now, could God just simply change the way everything works tomorrow? Or could Satan do that? Yeah, either one of them could do that. And apparently they have done this in the past. So, like, to claim that you somehow have an out for this problem that you think exists from your worldview is just so incredibly wrong.
at all at what I'm saying, then I highly recommend you watch this video from Jason Lyle, as well as this video from myself where I explain how to argue biblically, because the Bible does tell us how we should be arguing with non-believers. Not in the sense that we're just like throwing names at each other and everything. That would be a bad...
No, yeah, just call them fools. Yeah, you would never say, you never toss names out like calling somebody a fool. And you would never say that somebody is unrighteous. And you would never say that they are wicked or lost in their unrighteousness. You would never ever do that, would you? Oh man, God, I hate this kid. Anyways, well, that was fun. Maybe he and I'll have a chat one day. That would be interesting. In the words of Bane, that would be incredibly painful for you. So, yeah, I think that's all we got. Thanks everybody for coming around. Enjoy the outro music.